that we're going to wrap up our politics discussion, more or less, the day before Halloween. And tomorrow is Halloween, but we are celebrating today. So I appreciate all of you that dressed up. Enjoyed seeing all of you come in. I kind of felt like I was at a UT football game because like 5 minutes before game time, there wasn't hardly anybody here, and then as soon as we get started, the stands are full. So I got to where I could appreciate that when I was in college. So Linus, we're all familiar with Linus, okay? So the line there that I want you to focus on, the football and the contract has nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. I just had a hard time doing that clip without including Charlie Brown falling down. So Linus says this: there are three things that I've learned to not discuss with other people: religion, politics, and the Great Pumpkin. And you know, Linus teaches us a lot, not only in this cartoon, but also in the Christmas one that we're all familiar with. And if you look up Linus in Wikipedia, it actually lists Linus as a theologian. And if you remember, there's the scene in the Christmas Charlie Brown where the spotlight comes on him and he tells the biblical story of what their play really needs to be about. And so I think if we think about Linus as a theologian, maybe we watch this in a different way. And I think one of the main things that we recognize and that we witness when we watch that clip is that there's something that Linus believes in. There's something that Linus is passionate about, but he's learned through whatever experience that, you know what, I have learned to not talk to people about religion, politics, and the Great Pumpkin. And when he does choose to talk about the Great Pumpkin, what happens? Snoopy dies laughing hysterically. And I think that we can all relate to that in some way. That there's something that we're passionate about, something that we believe in, that maybe we're not necessarily ready to talk about, or maybe we're not confident enough to talk about it. So there's the Great Pumpkin, something that Linus truly believes in, but he kind of gets laughed at when he does talk about it. And Linus is familiar with doing things that he's passionate about that might make other people kind of snicker or laugh. I mean, he sucks his thumb, and he carries around a blanket. And so he's familiar with this, and maybe that's helped build up his confidence, but somewhere along the way, he has learned to not talk to people about certain things because maybe they're uncomfortable with it, maybe there's a level of discomfort with Linus. So then he lists the Great Pumpkin, but he also lists religion. And maybe you're one of the people that is just completely confident in your religion to where you can talk to other people about it. Maybe you're not quite there yet. Maybe it's something that you believe in, but maybe you just aren't quite confident enough to back it up with words and to get into that heated conversation or that debate, whatever it might be. Now, I grew up in the church. I was a youth group kid, children's choir all the way through. And so you would think that I graduated high school feeling pretty good about myself and pretty confident in if someone was to question my faith, I could stand up and I could defend myself and I could tell them things that maybe they didn't know. But I got tested my freshman year of college. My freshman year, I went to Tyler Junior College to get some of the regular classes out of the way, the basics. And I was walking across campus one day, and this guy stopped me, and he goes, "Are you going to go to heaven?" And I was like, "Yeah." "How do you know that?" "I just do." And so we went back and forth, and I got very uncomfortable because here was this guy challenging kind of what I had been taught in Sunday school and in youth group and being in that community. And he is pretty much saying, well, that's not enough. I need to know why you believe you're going to go to heaven. And it became this like, no, you aren't. Yes, I am. No, you aren't. Yes, I am. and it really made me kind of shut down a little bit. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you've been a part of a conversation where you were challenged a little bit, and it made you take a step back. Now, I've grown quite a bit since then. I've prayed a lot. I've studied a lot. And that has helped me gain my confidence back, that where I feel like I could sit down with anyone in this room and talk about my faith and why that's important, and maybe why I believe if I died today that I would go to heaven. This guy was determined to convince me that I was going to hell. And if you've ever been on a college campus, there's probably going to be one guy that's always going to try to convince you that you are going to hell. And I feel like it's our job and our duty to equip you with the tools to where you could back that up. But maybe you aren't quite comfortable enough and confident enough to talk to people about it. Obviously, Linus something happened. Maybe he had a bad experience on the playground. I don't know what it was. Where he has learned the three things that we don't talk about: the great pumpkin, religion, and now politics. Politics is kind of a tricky one. So I wanted to kind of give you an illustration that might help us understand it a little bit. This is my spider hat. All right? And so spiders are good. You may disagree with me. Spiders are good because they help keep our home and school free of insects. If you know anything about spiders, you know that that's true. Keeps your garden free of insects. Spiders are food for birds, reptiles, small mammals. They're good for medical research. And the silk they produce are used for fishing nets, which put food on our table, used in parachutes, and used for military. There's an element of protection in a military vest that uses something that a nasty spider produces. Okay, so that's why spiders are good. Let's look at why spiders are bad. Spiders are bad because they're gross, freaky, scary, hairy, poisonous, and they have those stupid webs. Anytime you see a web kind of hanging down, you do everything in your power to avoid that. So we've got spiders, we've got the good side of spiders, and we've got the bad side of spiders. So now we're going to look at pumpkins. Okay. See what I'm doing here? I'm taking politics and making it all Halloween-y. So this is my pumpkin hat, okay? So pumpkins are good. Why are pumpkins good? Pumpkins are good because they give us pumpkin spice everything under the sun. A pumpkin spice latte. Pumpkin Pop-Tarts, which I guess someone would think that that's good. It makes us think of fall and Thanksgiving. It gives us pumpkin bread and pumpkin Oreos and cookies and all that good stuff. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I don't really like anything pumpkin, but society does. Apparently there's pumpkin Pringles, which, whatever, I don't know what's going on there. So that's the good side of pumpkins. Let's look at the bad side of pumpkins. Pumpkins are gooey, they're slimy, they're moldy, kids smash them in the street, and the worst part about pumpkins is they give us pumpkin patches at 17 acres. And many of you can appreciate that have sat out there on hot days. But this is a picture. You may wonder why I don't like anything pumpkin. Because when you work a pumpkin patch, that's what your shoe looks like when you pick up a pumpkin and the bottom falls out because it's so nasty. And if you've worked a pumpkin patch, you get that. You understand that. So that's my foot. That's my leg and my feet the last time I worked a pumpkin patch a couple of years ago. And so there's good and there's bad for pumpkins and spiders. And whether or not you choose to see the good in a spider or the bad in a spider, same thing for a pumpkin. That's up to you. So I want us to look at, I'm going to take that off so you can actually take me a little seriously. But I want us to think about politics and our candidates in the version of a spider versus a pumpkin. Maybe you can see the good in a spider. Maybe a spider freaks you out a little bit. Maybe that's your candidate that you don't like. Maybe you see the good that a pumpkin does. A pumpkin makes you think of Thanksgiving, but it also can spew nasty stuff all over your feet. But I want that to be kind of an illustration as we move forward in our conversation tonight in regards to politics. Politics is something that you guys are talking about all the time in school, cruising, social media, whatever it might be. And you may love your candidate, you may love your spider or your pumpkin. You may like them for the person that they are. Maybe you only like the spider or the pumpkin because you despise the other one so much. Maybe there's more hatred there than there is love for the other one. And I think that this is a good conversation for all of us in this room to have. Not everyone in here, the majority of people in here won't have an opportunity to vote this year. And I'm not going to stand up here and be political and tell you what to do. But I think it's an important conversation to have because it's everywhere. You can barely open your phone, open Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever it might be, without seeing some sort of political post about someone that is passionate about whether or not blue, red, Republican, Democrat, whatever it might be. And even my kids, I've got twin boys that are 8, and they have an opinion about this because maybe they hear my response to something on the news. And I think they even have like an election in the school. So one of the candidates will be voted as president at Bolin Elementary. But 71% of teens associate themselves with the candidate that their parents do. So what you're hearing at home has an effect on kind of your way of thinking. So I think that we've all kind of experienced this. I'm guilty of it, probably make noises when one candidate's on TV. And they hear that. And they want to model that. You know, Nate and Drew don't know anything about Donald Trump. They don't know why people love or dislike Hillary or Trump. They just have gained an opinion by watching me and hearing me. So I think that we can all be a part of this conversation. It's an important one to have. So maybe we believe that our pumpkin or our spider can change things. Maybe we believe that we like the pumpkin more because we think that they can make things better. Maybe we're not educated enough to talk about politics, to engage in a conversation about a pumpkin or a spider, Republican, Democrat, whatever it might be. Maybe the only thing that we are equipped to do is to have the mine is better conversation. So this election, I've witnessed a shift. Okay? If we go back 8 years before our last president was elected, 8 years ago, I think I was fairly new to Facebook. 8 years ago, many of you were still in diapers or not even in elementary school yet. So there's been this shift, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Social media feeds how we think sometimes. But what I've noticed is that people are proud to be voting early. And if you can open up your phone and not see a selfie of someone that had just voted, then you're not scrolling long enough. I see it every time I open my phone, every time, that someone's proud of themselves because they voted. They want everyone to know that they just voted. They're not going to tell you who they voted for. A lot of times we can assume that. But they want you to know that they were passionate about making a decision and doing their civic duty to do that. So, what if we were as passionate about voting, we were as passionate about our opinion about politics in 2016 as our faith? I think that that changes everything. There is so much passion and so much determination and so much confidence that pours out of people when they take that selfie. I don't think that they're just trying to tell a story, but they're probably trying to get you to do the same thing. I can't tell you how many times I've used the example, oh, my vote doesn't count. History shows that a lot of times a vote in Collin County may not matter. You may have the opinion that this year would be different. But what I want to focus on is the passion that people have about voting and how we can bring that back to our faith. So when I see someone that takes an I voted sticker selfie, it makes me want to go out and vote. It makes me want to drop what I'm doing and go to a library or go to City Hall, whatever it might be. So what if we left here tonight and we all got a little sticker that said, I worshiped, I prayed? What would that look like? And we were to take a selfie and plaster it all over social media. Do you think that that would influence someone in the way that people are passionate about this election? I don't know. I'd like to think that it would. But if seeing someone that takes a selfie with a little I voted or I voted early, whatever it might be, if that convinces someone to go out and vote, I can't imagine what the impact would be. Hey, I prayed, click. I worshiped, click. I'd like to think that that would leave a pretty profound impact on people. So, I can see it now. Okay, if you've seen some posts, you'll think that this is somewhat in relation to it. So someone puts on Facebook, I went to Custer Road. I was in and out in 58 minutes. It was so easy. Or someone might ask you, how was it? It was so easy. The last time I went, we had to open up a book to sing songs, but now they put it up on the screen. Technology's come so far. It was great. I went to church and I tried to sing one song, but they put a different song up on the screen. And it was one of those things that God was just part of. So I want us to think about the passion that comes with doing these things that we do. It's our civic duty. Well, let's think about our faithful duty and what that might look like. So I want to read from Luke chapter 10. I'm reading from the Message. It says this, just then a religion scholar stood up with a question to test Jesus. Teacher, what do I need to do to get eternal life? He answered, what's written in God's law? How do you interpret it? He said, that you love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and muscle and intelligence. I think that's what we're seeing this year in 2016. We're seeing passion. We're seeing intelligence. We're seeing people use every muscle that they can to let you know that they're passionate about something. And what would happen if we used this passion, every muscle, every bit of intelligence that we have to share our faith with somebody else? To remind them, you know what? You need to pray. You need to go to worship. You need to sing a song. Maybe you walk out of here and you're wearing a sticker that says, I sang, and you took a selfie. What that might mean for someone else, we have no idea. But we could hope that the emphasis of us doing that and the passion that we have for that would overflow and someone else would experience that. So what I want for you as you leave here today is I want you to have a passion for Christ that are similar, maybe even more so, than the things in our lives that we're already passionate about, and what that might look like, how you could encourage someone to pray, to believe, to sing, to worship. And I encourage you to do that as we move forward, regardless of your political opinion. Let's think about that passion that's biblical, to use every muscle in our body to share that with those around us. If you would please pray with me. Gracious and loving God, we come to you this afternoon, not sure what's ahead of us. There are people that make us proud. There are people in power that might scare us a little bit. And God, just help us have the confidence that we can go out and we can be passionate about the things that you have called us to do. To be passionate about praying, to be passionate about singing, to be passionate about reading your word. God, we are so blessed to have you as our divine leader. That we want to focus on you. And sometimes when we're saying ours is better, we lose sight of that you are best. God, just continue to love us and encourage us and give us that passion in our heart that we can show other people and show them how awesome it is to praise your name. It's in your Son's name that I pray. Amen.